As more of a world becomes digital, the demand for high quality video is skyrocketing. Whether it's for streaming, online education, entertainment, or even video conferencing, our reliance on video has never been higher. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. Now, when we're talking about our growing reliance on video, yet all of this comes with a cost, both in terms of bandwidth and storage. Now, that's where video compression comes into play. But what happens when compression reduces video quality? Now, that's where AI-driven generation steps in, solving problems that have plagued video technology for years. So let's welcome Blake Fox, Vice President of Engineering at IKIN, who will give more insights as to how AI-driven regeneration in the video compression landscape can help in giving quality videos. Hi, Blake. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Thank you again for your time today.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Blake. And before we dive deeper into the role of AI as to how it is transforming the video regeneration industry, we would like to know more about IKIN. So if you could help us understand what exactly IKIN is, what it does, and also if it has some specialization or a particular solution the company is offering.
Absolutely, and my pleasure. So IKIN, we came around because we were trying to, push the barrier when it comes to immersive technologies. Right about the time where, the HoloLens, the Oculus, Magic Leap were all kind of hitting the stage with these goggle solutions. We firmly believe that there was a world where you can immerse yourself into technology without having to wear any sort of headgear. And that's what started the IKIN mission, where we really wanted to make really immersive entertainment experiences, as well as pushing the bar for commercial use as well. So we started by developing some hardware, but our core goal was to build software, innovative SDKs to really allow developers and content creators to make these amazingly immersive experiences. So we made a handful of hardware, but the true core of what we got is our SDK, which allows for computer vision interaction with augmented space. But also what we're talking about today, the other side, which we call Asimov, which is a tool set to use generative AI, NERF, and a whole bunch of other computer vision technologies to augment reality in many ways. The reason why it became a thing, if you think about traditional holograms, you have to view it from so many different angles, and it's a lot of data to be able to push over the wire. So we needed to find a way that we could actually create immersive content that anybody could view from any angle. And yeah, that's what we're talking about today. We kind of landed on a whole nother solution indirectly from that solution.
Great. Thank you for sharing and giving us an overview of the company. And it's really fascinating to hear about how technological solutions are innovating the entire content consumption space and how innovative these solutions can be. Of course, when we are talking about the company, we would also like to know more about you, Blake. How has your journey been till date? What if you can tell us more about yourself, your role and contribution towards the company, or what triggered your interest into this space?
Absolutely. The 5-minute elevator pitch for me is I started off military, cut my teeth with a lot of hardware with the United States Navy. I found out that I really love software, so I jumped into the software ecosystem right about when Angry Birds hit the world, where I wanted to make video games that competed with that. So I worked for Mad Catz Interactive, building immersive hardware and software integrated solutions for video games down the board, Sony Online, and a couple other mobile solutions as well. Where I really started to cut my teeth in innovative tech is when I got scouted by IBM to put a face to the Watson AI system. So from there, I went from working on game engines like Unity and Unreal to working on a cloud-based solution for the Watson AI. We built an avatar, which was a holographic piece that actually gave people a being, if you will, to talk to really understand how Watson can transform business. And a handful of other things while I was at IBM ultimately led me to the startup space, where I worked for companies like Faceware Technologies, making computer vision tech to automate computer animation. Haya Technologies, where we made avatars for the metaverse that were also intelligent thanks to a lot of the AI solutions. And then ultimately IKIN, which, we're the perfect bridge. We have a hardware component for immersive tech, but we have the software component as well. With my AI and computer vision background, it was just the perfect harmony to build what I love building, which is truly immersive content.
Quite an interesting journey, I must say, Blake, and it's truly inspiring. And thank you for giving such deeper insights into what are some of the innovations your company is spearheading in this space, and how you're also playing an important part and a role here. Now let's dive into let's now if you talk about the digital future. or digital landscape. I think video has become one of the most. Now, I was just going through certain studies, and I just found that video will make up more than 82% of internet traffic by 2025. How to deliver high quality video without overbuilding networks or storage systems. Now, I believe that IKIN recently published a new report around video compression and AI driven regeneration. So, can you tell us more about it?
Absolutely. So what we were working towards was a way to, compress data to a form, if you will, that we could actually make novel views from any angle, because, that's what you think of an hologram. If we're having a Zoom call like this, traditionally, we're stuck with what we got. We have a single webcam. It's a face-to-face meeting, and the quality is as good as the user's bandwidth that they have at their home internet. We wanted to challenge that. We wanted to make, not only video chat, but all video solutions just a little bit more immersive and give the end user a lot more control. So we started on that journey with the mission of making a better HoloChat experience. And this is like during and post COVID-19. Where we landed afterwards was a very successful medium where we were able to take a very small set of guided information and pass it to a rendering engine such as Stable Diffusion and recreate reality with a lot less metadata. And what I mean by that, traditional codecs, is an algorithm where you can take a single pixel and surrounding pixels and send just the bare minimum information and store it at rest. So that way you can recreate it. And it's at scale. It'll actually look near perfect. In our case, we're not looking at actually, the pixel level. We're looking at what's the little bit of information that we could actually store and send over the wire to guide AI to regenerate, rehallucinate, or any word you want to choose in that regard. And that's where we succeeded with our codec. We found out that we could actually crunch it down so far where it's 82% smaller than traditional H.264, H.265 over the wire. And then on the other side, get a near perfect image, if not a better representation, because that's what generative AI does, right? It knows how to create perfect representations. In current day society, it does go rogue because, we're asking a lot of this AI to recreate something from scratch. But a little bit of hand-holding, a little bit of guiding allows us to, regenerate something that is exactly what you wanted to see. Or again, we can hallucinate it and guide it to do something that's totally different, but it actually looks insanely realistic. And that's what the white paper goes into. It's actually our step process of, comparing it between H.264, H.265, and the AI-driven regeneration of our codec itself.
Great, that's pretty fascinating, and I think this report kind of gives more valuable insights into the future of video technologies. And as far as the findings that you have shared with us, I think it's kind of influencing the broader video ecosystems, and particularly for companies who are looking to leverage advanced video compression techniques, I believe. But when we're talking about video compression, many of us have noticed that loosey compression can lead to visual artifacts such as pixelation, blurring, or even blocking, especially when videos are compressed too much or viewed on high resolution screens. Now, think of trying to stream a video in 4K on a slower internet connection. You've likely noticed the video quality adjusting downwards, becoming blurrier or even grainier. Now, that is exactly what compression does, and it's the sacrifice we make for the sake of smoother streaming and even more efficient storage. But of course, we want more, right? We want smaller file size and high quality. So, is that even possible? And I think that AI can hold the answer here. So, can you help us understand in what ways can AI improve the efficiency of video encoding and decoding processes, and especially for real-time applications like video calls or live streaming?
Absolutely, and you're 100% spot on. And that's kind of was one of our mission statements, because we're greedy from the aspect that we want the perfect experience from our technology. And that's also where generative AI shines, correct? Back 10 years ago, we didn't have these powerful GPUs that really could do what we do today. But now we have these GPUs that are remaining idle on our machines most of the time. But we have this amazing tech called Gen AI that actually uses a GPU to recreate things. Now, with to your point about traditional codecs and compression over the wire, the artifacting is because when you compress it so hard, there's not enough data left for it to recreate things back at the 4K imagery that we had before. So you get artifacts because that's the best that an algorithm can do in that regard. However, with Gen AI, it doesn't always need information. It'll use intelligence to figure out what would actually look the best if they rehallucinate or recreate these pixels on the medium. So at a minimum, if we actually don't even look how we can compress it more, and we take this standard H.264 or H.265 that's highly compressed with a lot of data lost. We can pipe it through a Gen AI system that will actually analyze all that pixel space and look at the areas that it believes could be enhanced. And the output that you get is even a better output of what's already been there. Now you mix that with guided information. Sometimes too much information will actually confuse a system. So if you know how to eliminate all the elements that would actually confuse a system like Gen AI that was actually going to up-res it, you can actually guide it to do better results with less data. And that's how we got the numbers so low, is we figured out exactly what has to be guided to really harness the power of any generative AI engine, whether it's Stable Diffusion, Hugging Face, Firefly. They all have a very similar strategy when it comes to large language models. And we kind of found the golden nugget, if you will, to ensure that high quality that you mentioned. And going one step further with that too, if you actually think about the industry, there's really not a metric that's really pushed that quality segment other than visual eye. But we found that in the entertainment industry, there is a metric called Dover, which is exactly what they do. They use this to ensure what the producers are recording looks the way they want it to when it hits the big screen. And you pass that through any kind of compressed versus raw data, you'll get a score of how close it is to the raw data. And we found that using our system, even on existing media footage, gets that score closer to the raw footage that it was when it left the studio. So we're really excited to know that we are pushing the bar as far as the quality segment goes on pre-compressed and post-compressed data.
Right, absolutely. I think that was pretty much bang on, because when you're talking about industries like video regeneration, it's not just about improving the encoding or the decoding process. I think it kind of opens doors to a number of opportunities. It's creating a balance between the quality and latency, and also I think it enables companies to have a more smarter resource allocation, across the entire system. So I think it's kind of making more innovative features in this in video regeneration space as well. But I guess artificial intelligence. So now you spoke about generative AI. I think it's already proven its ability to enhance images, upscale photos, or even generate new content. As it was only a matter of time before it transformed the video processing industry. So of course, after your answer, it's quite clear that AI-driven regeneration aims to improve the video quality after compression. It kind of restores lost detail while maintaining the benefits of smaller file sizes as well. So can you share some real world scenarios of how IKIN's AI driven tools are helping to generate compressing videos without sacrificing the quality?
Absolutely. And the easiest one I can say with that is, Internet of Things. We see a lot of like IBM and all these big players are trying to make these smart cities where you can actually interact with people in real time, but they don't want to sacrifice that human element, if you will. So we've already worked with a couple of vendors that within the entertainment and commercial space where they want to have that one-to-one interaction, but they need to ensure that the bandwidth is low because you open the floodgates, you can very quickly destroy a network. And we're even seeing this now actually with the advancement of 5G. If you go to a very congested area, everybody is now connected to their phone. Everybody is online. Everybody's making phone calls and surfing the internet. And the network is starting to get very congested where some people just can't access it at all until they go to an area where it has less people. So that's where we're working there. Now, going to the other extreme, there's still a lot of areas in the world that are on 1G, 2G networks where they cannot do a video call even if they wanted to because they just don't have the bandwidth. Now, if you look at traditional like Zoom calls and such, if you can shave down the bandwidth streamed over the network by 82%, now you're enabling these places that just can't do this today, thanks to the power of AI. Most of these places, you can still get the hardware there. And if you have a powerful GPU that can use AI to regenerate these imagery, now, and if you can compress the data that far down, you can go into these networks and actually have a video call where we've never been able to before. On top of that, there's so much video data imagery that's just being lost for the same reason. I mean, if you look at ADP and security systems, 90% of the time, these 4K security cameras are dumping footage over 24 hours just because they can't afford to store them at rest. Same thing with courtrooms. There's so many court hearings that, they have audio transcriptions only just because, again, too much data. if you have a system that can really compress that data down, and we've proven this in many, many different scenarios, especially for scenarios where you don't have to have an accurate regeneration of it. And in the case of court series, we found that a lot of times you don't want to recreate somebody's likeness, but capturing the metadata of their facial expressions is huge and game changing for future artifacts if they ever need to regenerate it. These are all scenarios that IKIN's been actually talking to clients and helping them rediscover themselves, because we're an enabling piece of technology. We want to enable all these people to be able to do things that they want to do, but with current day technologies, they just can't. But why not? It's just because nobody's really given them a tool set to be able to do it.
Very well said. And I think that's incredible, and I'm sure our listeners will be glad to understand how these tools can maintain high quality even after compression. And like you said, it's really important to have a piece of technology that can be really used in a practical way, and also that delivers some impactful results, and not just as a as a mode of technology, I believe. In your response, I think you also mentioned about different scenarios in courtrooms, but I guess when you're talking about AI-driven regeneration, I think the implications are huge. We spoke about streaming services, then the courtroom proceedings, like you mentioned, we have remote work, gaming, telemedicine, and for streaming platforms like Netflix, YouTube, or Amazon Prime, maintaining high video quality while using a little bandwidth as possible is crucial to delivering seamless viewer experiences. And plus, now we have mobile viewing experiences, laptop, and even the tablet viewing experiences. So in order to ensure that they are adaptable as to different screens also, and it doesn't impact the viewing experience, is also important for them. So I think that while we are talking about AI generation tools and solutions, rather than just in the video generation landscape, I think it is kind of changing other industries as well. So how do you foresee AI transforming video compression for emerging technologies when you're talking about augmented reality, for example, or 360-degree videos? How do you see the landscape changing?
Absolutely, and the landscape's changing fast. I mean, every 6 months we're seeing advancements, whether it's the Nerf technology, Gen AI, computer vision, even the game engines are getting to the point where they're updating themselves to make it easier for people to create content without having to have a master's degree in computer science. But at a smaller level, it's actually getting, how do I say it? It's empowering AI and actually empowering people to use AI in a creative manner. And for video chats, the same thing. We wanted to recreate reality first, because recreating reality is probably the hardest thing you can do with a generative solution. And like if you go out and ask Stable Diffusion today to give you a picture of a Tesla truck, the Cybertruck itself is such a new concept that these large language models don't have a lot of data to scrape in order to accurately recreate a Cybertruck, but it does its best and it does a really good job. But in most instances, you'll get a semi truck with a Tesla logo. But if you ask an AI system, that's actually pretty impressive, because that's what it inferred with the little bit of information that it has. Now you empower a user to, tell these systems, hey, you're close, but here's a little bit more information. Now you pass that back into the same system with with that quality assurance control to it. Now you can accurately recreate something by the likeness that you want. Why stop there? You can actually give artists the power to bring in their style, and now you actually can infer your style within these systems. And when you come back to video chat, you can mix the two together. You might have an artist that actually wants to do very immersive type futuristic glasses, but you want to have this done in real time on a Zoom call. Well, voila, you can actually really, really do that if you're actually regenerating with a minimalist set of information, because again, that's what Gen AI does. It does really good to take multiple concepts together and blend them into a seamless fashion where you cannot tell the difference between artificial reality versus reality in itself. And how far do you go? You can go into the advertisement space where you train it on a specific brand. People are not using Gen AI right now for brand specific things because they can go rogue. And the last thing a brand ambassador wants to see is their logo getting done incorrectly on a logo that goes up or millions of people are seeing it. However, if you can actually guide AI to get to accurate results 98% of the time, mixed with personal metadata that you get from some source, whether it's Facebook, Google Ads, or whatnot, you can make some really amazing hallucinated content that is in the realm of reality for the fact that brand is accurate. And brand goes back to users too, and why we recreated reality first. Our faces are the biggest brand that you can speak of. And if we get our faces wrong, then what do we have left?
That was point on, Blake. Thank you for giving a very practical and relevant example to understand the implications of the emerging technology, especially when you're talking about augmented reality and 360-degree videos. Now, of course, we have been talking about Gen AI, and of course, different technologies, but I think an important role that plays in this AI-driven solutions is the network, your network connectivity. So when we're talking about 5G already being, I mean, of course, it's not widely being implemented yet, but I think 5G will again redefine the entire industry because of course it has ultra fast data speeds, it reduces latency, and it transmitting large video files easily. So this means that videos can be compressed, transferred, and regenerated with AI in possibly real time, providing smoother experiences for users, especially when you're talking about live streaming or video conferencing. So as we move towards 5G and beyond, we'll of course be talking about 6G anytime soon. So how do you think the entire AI-driven video compression will shape the future of content delivery?
Absolutely. And there's so much here to unpack, but focusing purely on 5G, it's just
Mhm.
enabling us to stream more data over the wire, which allows for more innovative solutions. Because, I mean, we live in a cloud
Yeah.
world where everything lives in the cloud, everything we stream from the cloud. It's ballooned to the point where, there is so much demand that we can't get enough satellites and towers up to meet this demand. So the other way that you attack a problem is finding a novel solution, which is compression. We've seen Apple and parties spend so much money on H.265 just to get a small fractional improvement on what they can stream over the wire, and that's huge. I mean, if we look at the metrics based all the way back to the AVI days of the '90s, compression has already gotten so good from the algorithm standpoint that it's unbelievable. I mean, if you had asked me 20 years ago when I got in tech if we would be able to get it this good, I would have probably said no. However, now with the birth of AI, we're all racing to try to figure out practical uses for it. Compression is a no-brainer for the fact that AI is really good at patterns, and that's what algorithms do to recreate imagery at a compressed form as well. Is just looking at patterns to upsample to get something back to reality. Now, the AI is the holy grail of that because you no longer have to send all that information as long as this AI is hyper trained on what it's going to recreate. Now, you can't go out and ask Stable Diffusion right now to create a picture of yourself, but you can actually hyper train Stable Diffusion to know who you are. Then you can ask it that question. And now, after it knows who you are, then you can delete almost everything about you and just pass a minimalistic set of information. That is probably the biggest form of compression that the world has seen yet. And if we can find a way to harness that and actively train it so that way these models know exactly what to focus on resampling, it's going to be game changing. And I know we have it solved for all of our use cases, and this is a matter of time that's going to be a widely adopted thing down the board. And then and only then is when 5G will actually hit its true targets, when we start taking the demand off and actually using GPU and CPU related technologies to take the burden off. We'll be a fully connected world at that point.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, like the day before yesterday, I had a podcast, and I like the main theme, our agenda was how do we actually handle, the GPU shortage, and how can we actually overcome the AI compute hurdle. So I think all of these are challenges when we are trying to adopt AI-driven video compression solutions, and of course, with 5G coming up, I think that it might open up new opportunities, and it can truly be a game changer for content heavy industries like entertainment, education, or e-commerce. I think it will allow them to deliver not just faster and higher quality content, but perhaps more personalized or interactive experience, but at a very scalable level, I believe. Now,
100%.
yeah. And I think as with most cutting edge AI technologies, the space is definitely growing rapidly. We are likely to see more advanced neural networks capable of regenerating not just compressed video, but even enhancing live streams in real time. So that brings us to the last question, Blake. How do you see the future of AI in video compression?
It's exciting. I mean, going back to my roots, I started in video games. I mean, I wanted to make immersive content in the form of games because everybody loves games. But then I seen, evolved from having to have game engineers that had to build everything from scratch, which was very timely. It took studios years to build things, to a world now that we have these off-the-shelf solutions like React and Angular and such that basically take all the hard work out of it. Unity, Unreal from the game engine side, you no longer have to be a game engine programmer. It's allowing us to do more with less. At the same time, though, I mean, it's actually made us kind of lazy in many ways because we're no longer optimizing data for the data stream. We're using off-the-shelf solutions that are good. I mean, they're really good algorithms, but they're made to be generic. They're not meant to solve a certain problem like we did in the past. And that's why we had that, MMOs back in the late 90s, early 2000s, because we've really focused on optimizing data to get it as small as we could to prevent lag. Now, full circle, we live in a world where we don't optimize as much and we are working more from the speed standpoint. That's where AI can really come in and actually do that optimizations for us, whether it's rendering on the device itself or optimizing the data that we stream over the network to ensure reality. There was the amazing demo that we saw with Doom recreated, all being regenerated by AI instead of actually using traditional 3D concepts within an engine. That's the future that we're looking at, where we no longer have to, build 3D models. We don't have to always go in there and actually build out the full 3D world. The world might be start blending between our world and the virtual reality world as well. I mean, that's what Magic Leap really pushed really, really hard in the beginning is why can't we actually interact in augmented reality with reality? And then Apple's pushing that now as well. So long story short, I mean, it's going to be wild. And I don't think anybody can really guess what it's going to look like. But I do know that everything is going to be based on AI. It's going to be some sort of compression, and it's going to give people that immersion element that they're looking for. And in many ways, the next wave of video compression is going to be at the forefront because it has to be. Our networks are screaming. We can't make enough demand. We can't get enough satellites out there. So it's going to be up to us as engineers, technology enthusiasts, evangelists to find a way to ensure that we use AI to take the strain off the hardware to continue the immersive element that we're seeing.
Yeah, very well said. I completely agree with you that AI will be the base of each and every system and solution that we'll be using in the future. And I think wrapping up, AI-driven video regeneration is poised to transform not only the way we compress and share video, but also how we experience it. And by bridging the gap between compression and quality, AI has the potential to deliver visually stunning, data-efficient videos across industries. And it's really exciting to think about new possibilities and new standards of efficiency and flexibility that this technology is bringing to the table. Thank you so much, Blake, for joining in today's episode and giving us insights as to how AI can change video compression and regeneration industry.
My pleasure. I'm just like you. I'm excited to see how the future evolves. And the most exciting thing is that we're all on the forefront of it. So stay tuned to see what we get for next.
Definitely, definitely. I think we all are tuned for a more exciting and a more tech-enabled future. So this is for our listeners. I think you need to stay tuned for more deep dives into innovative technologies that are shaping our future. Until next time, you can view all our podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.